Hi, welcome to our channel Xaphal. So today we have with us Sahil Mehta, who is a learning design specialist. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Great, great. So before we move towards your journey and talk about what you're exactly doing and about your graduation days, tell our viewers a little bit about you, what you're doing currently.
Well, actually, today I'm working on a project, literally, but as of career, I'm a learning design specialist at Finastra, and we are just doing our typical jobs, creating trainings and training all of the employees worldwide.
What exactly it is, like, because it is not as much popular as any other professional careers are. So can you tell a little bit about that so that our audience can relate?
Sure. So I'll be using layman's language. So I think everybody is familiar with the school or education institution. How does it work?
Right,
There are mentors and teachers, and they do what they have to do. But who
right,
decides what to do? क्या पढ़ाना है, कैसे पढ़ाना है, क्लासरूम में पढ़ाना है, प्रैक्टिकली पढ़ाना है, ये कौन डिसाइड करता है?
right.
We decide that. That's called instructional design. For example, there have been some errors in our education system. For I think ये जो मैं एग्जांपल देने वाला हूँ काफी लोग इससे रिलेट कर पाएंगे. When I was in school, I came across a question of trigonometry कि I'm standing in a pole, एक हेलीकॉप्टर सामने से आ रहा है, मैं कितने एंगल पे उसको शूट करूं कि उसे वो शूट हो जाए. So what that question doesn't make sense. मैं
Right.
क्या करूं मैं क्या करूं ट्रिग्नोमेट्री का, मुझे क्यों शूट करना है हेलीकॉप्टर को? So just to making content relevant. I know trigonometry is relevant, but is that relevant for me? Is that relevant for a school student? I don't think so. मुझे
Right.
तब भी यही लगता था और अब भी यही लगता है. तो यही गलतियां हम सुधारते हैं being an instructional designer, and we create curriculum and design all education program.
Okay, so your work is to make learning easy.
I think easy is a vague term because I think easy depends considering multiple factors. We make it available on the spot, uh, and relatable and impactful.
So how you got your first job after your graduation, or like in between your graduation, and what is the medium?
Okay, so I think it was before I completed my graduation, and I think one of my mentor recommended me to an I think media agency that was in Vasundhara. So I joined there, and I think that's how I got into a professional phase.
Okay. And about your first job, how you got your first job?
I think first job was really dramatic. So I was I had mixed reactions. I was excited to go for a job interview, but when I reached there, I was totally disappointed. It wasn't as I have seen or expected. It was just a small shop-like office in a third floor of a very small mall complex. So I was disappointed, but well, I accepted it and I moved forward.
Right. Then, what was your experience?
Well, my experience was pretty bad. I think I struggled with uh, maintaining relationship with people because my peers were from different backgrounds, different community and caste. It was really hard to gel with them, and sometimes it impacts your work also because you can't work alone. You always need support of your peers, and sometimes managing and building that friendship with my peers was quite troublesome in the beginning.
So, when was the time you considered that you need to switch, and how you got your next job?
Okay, so I think I always make a goal before I switch. I can give you, I think, just one or two statements with that. So I was in a office where they used to took up on outsourced projects. So I made a goal that I won't be someone who just do the work. I would be move one level up. So I joined the organization from where we used to get the outsourced work. And then again, and I was there working as a graphic designer. And then I noticed that there is a separate team of instructional designers, and somehow they have more control over the work and they are more respected. So I made a goal and I became an instructional designer. And if you know about outsourcing IT industry in India, we are picking up work from all over the world, and be it USA, Canada, UK. So my next goal was to be a stakeholder rather than a work doer. So from a developer, from a coordinator, being in India, I made a goal and I shifted to Finastra, where I'm working as a stakeholder. I'm part of Romania team, and now Indians work for us. So this is simple. Just pick a goal and then switch. It shouldn't be only for money.
Right, right. So, is there any technical skill required in your field?
I think yes. So this is a very complicated question. I have known some people who have no skills, who have learned everything on the job, but then you must have the opportunity or the organizations which are willing to work on you. But if you don't have that, you can do some minor certifications in Adobe Suite or a graphic designing. I think that's the base. If you have that, you can move forward.
How content writing is important in your field?
I think that's the core of it. Graphic design is something that comes later. Content is the king. If you don't have content, you won't win. It's just like if you have all of the star cast like SRK and Salman Khan, but you don't have a story, nobody will watch it. And you can relate it by the success of OTT platforms. They have the content, so content is always important. I have multiple examples. Uh, it all starts with a conversation. Probably my manager or a stakeholder directly reached out to me and they just wanted to have a conversation with a learning gap.
Okay.
Every training, every education is uh, born out from a reason, and that reason is always a performance gap.
Okay.
For example, you are in a sales organization and you can't make your goals, but you figured out that the gap is lack of communication. Either your employees or field agents are not well in communication or they are not soft enough. So that's what is the performance gap. When we talk to stakeholders and analyze the gap, we come up with solutions. For
Right.
in this case, I think simple soft skill training would be the best solution. But then again, how would we deliver it? Should I pick all of the sales guys, put up in them in a room and then teach them? I think that would cause the business loss because they are
Right.
not working on that time. So I think that I would create a video which they can view after their working hours. So it's what, when, and how to learn. So that's how we deliver, and that's how we create, develop, and test our learnings.
So, what is the most challenging thing in your job? What
Okay,
do
I
you
think,
find challenging?
yeah, personally, I think dealing with people, not peers, but dealing with stakeholders or client is the most difficult part. You get all variety of people out there, and I hope students would love to relate this. लोगों को खुश करना बहुत मुश्किल है, एंड स्पेशली लड़कों को मैं ये बात कहना चाहूंगा जिनकी गर्लफ्रेंड है. सो आई एम पिकिंग दिस एग्जांपल क्योंकि ये समझ आएगा आपको. जिस जिसकी गर्लफ्रेंड है, ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि वो नाराज हो गई और आपको पता ही नहीं क्यों? उसे कुछ चाहिए लेकिन क्या चाहिए पता नहीं. So this happens everywhere. This happens with client also. उन्हें नहीं पता उन्हें क्या चाहिए. So
Right.
यहाँ आपको जैसे कभी you would like to have eat something, movies चले, घूमने चले. So we have to come up with different options, and वो टेस्ट करना पड़ता है और उनका रिएक्शन देखना पड़ता है, and then we have to come up with a solution. So sometimes your client or boss might be difficult to handle. So I think that's the difficult part of my job.
So, you need to create different models for that.
So I think we just can't straightforwardly come up with a solution like this is we got for you. So it comes up with a lot of research. We ask questions, we do a need analysis. For example, do you really need this training?
Right.
For example, I'll give you a scenario. An organization is not able to retain its employees.
Okay.
So they want us to create a training. But during our analysis, we found out that your interviewing skills are bad. You don't need a
Right.
training, you need better interviewers.
Right.
So there are multiple factors like this. And after considering everything, we come up with a solution. And still there's a possibility that stakeholder won't say, इसमें मजा नहीं आ रहा यार कुछ और लाओ.
Right.
So बहुत convince करना and then you have to sell your idea. I think
Right.
that's if you learn that skill, I think you will be successful.
So these are the like core skills required to be in your field.
Not in the beginning. Your team leader or your project manager would do this for you. You would just need to, design or report the errors or scope or give your suggestions. Client handling is something you do at later stage. But coming to that stage, you will already have something, in your bag. So you will be ready
Right.
to handle it.
Tell me something about your first job as a learning design specialist.
Okay, I think first job was really boring. As I said, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to create movies, cartoons, and visual effects. But I was working in a small organization where they expect you to do everything. So I had been moved to a learning project. I had to learn a new software, which was really frustrating at that time. But I still did it and I learned it and I created wonders out of it. And that made a career out of me. So I think that was really frustrating sometimes in terms of technical and also, having meeting other people was a different thing. While I think the biggest shock was when I was a student, I just worked or learned only 2 hours a day, but
Okay.
when a sudden shift and you have to sit in an office for 8 to 9 hours, and sometimes you don't go to home for 2 days, I think that was a biggest shift. So you would be facing that in initial days of your career, and that will shake you. But initially you will get used to it. But अभी ऐसा कुछ नहीं है मुझे बिल्कुल स्ट्रेच नहीं करना पड़ता आई एम रियली हैप्पी इन माय जॉब.
Like you're working as a remote worker for Romania. So how you got this client? Is it a freelancing client or you got shortlisted for an interview? How you got this job?
Sure. So last year I was working in R1 RCM. It's a healthcare industry. So again, I had this goal, like we are Indians and we are working for foreigners, and I want to move to that part. So
Right.
I just created a link. I just brushed up my LinkedIn profile. I created my CV with European standards. I just searched a learning design job with a location European Union in LinkedIn. So I think out of 2,500 jobs, I landed for interviews around 10. So yeah, that's a drastic proportion. You try too hard, but you don't get anything. And I was reached out to HR who was there in UK, and we planned for an interview. So being a typical Indian and a typical Punjabi, we have a passion to move out of India.
Right.
So I thought I will be moving to Romania when I read that interview mail.
Right.
But that guy came into interview and he said, where are you located? I said, Delhi. And surprisingly, he said, we have a office in Pune. Would you like to relocate there? I was like so frustrated. I said, I didn't apply for this, but still I moved with that process. And I think my second round was with a panel. There were two managers sitting in Toronto, one in Toronto and another in Romania. Luckily, they were really impressed with me and they said, we cannot offer you relocation. Is there anything else we can do? So I thought, okay, give me permanent work from home. And this is how I landed here.
So is there any tips you would like to share so that those students who are watching our show, they can brush up their LinkedIn profile?
Sure. I think, yes, they can. But I think first and foremost step is to be active. Just like you are active on Instagram, make sure you use LinkedIn as well
Right.
and keep posting it. I think You can post anything, even your hobbies, your cultural exploration. Somehow, if you are active on LinkedIn, you would be visible to recruiters, and you will be perceived as someone who is an active professional. So I think
Right.
the first one is be active, and second one is work on your profile. If you are professional, I think this would help you. You can add your experiences there, you can write what you have did, and you can write what you want to do or what's interest you. But if you are a fresher, I think it doesn't stop you to post your portfolio or your viewpoint. You just have to be active. I think once you start this, I think other steps would be, self-explanatory. You will discover it on their own.
So, when you were looking forward for some job, so what was your medium? LinkedIn, Naukri, or any other medium, or only LinkedIn? You're focused on that. What was that?
So initially, I think it was Naukri.com, but I later moved to LinkedIn and Glassdoor. My
Okay.
personal reason was that if you apply for a job, and if students you have applied for a job using LinkedIn, you may be able to relate this. Whenever you have to apply, there is a big form. You have to fill everything on
Yeah.
that, and that's really frustrating. But
Right.
with LinkedIn, there's a small button on that form. If you click it, it would say apply via LinkedIn. All of your details would get filled.
Right.
Magic. You can apply for a job in less than a minute. So I have moved
Right.
to LinkedIn, and I also secondly, all of the organization, bigger recruiters or high level people are there on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
if you stay or if you be around high level people, I think you are the next. So that's why I prefer LinkedIn.
Would you like to mention about your day-to-day roles and activities you need to taken care of?
Sure. So I think my day starts with checking for my calendar. Guys, if you are fresher, you must know that we collaborate through Outlook and Teams, and there are multiple tasks or meetings that are mentioned there.
Right.
So when you log in to your day, first thing you should is check for meetings. That would help you plan your day, when you need to be available and when you need to take your breaks. So
Right.
check for meetings and check for deliverables and dependencies. If I'm going through multiple projects, I'll prioritize them on the basis of what needs to be delivered first or who else is depending on me. So the first is always plan your day. And
Right.
secondly, work on it, work on your plan. And if there are some red flags or exceptions, raise them immediately.
Right.
By saying this, I'll share one of my experience. Uh, you know, Typically हमें कोई काम दिया जाता है और उसमें कोई missing information होती है, we just stop there. We
Right.
expect the other person, our manager, to come to us and correct that. हम बैठे रहते हैं और काम होता नहीं है. जब हमसे पूछा जाता है, we say आपने हमें ये बताया ही नहीं. Well, that's really bad attitude if you are a working professional. You should be proactive. अगर आपको कोई भी risk या missing information लगती है, so it should be you who go to seniors and ask them what should I do about it. So
Okay.
do that during your day and deliver. So my responsibilities are typically my project, raising risk, keeping up with the timelines, and delivering quality. So these three are the things which I need to take care of. But when you are in an organization, there are multiple responsibilities other than technical projects.
Okay.
Most of them, some of them are like knowledge management. So ज्ञान बांटने से बढ़ता है, or we call that knowledge management in corporate terms.
Right.
If you know anything, you got to know something new, you got to share it to your team.
Right.
Otherwise, you also need to learn from them. So knowledge management is our responsibility, communication is our responsibility,
Right.
and ये मेरा personal experience है. If you want to be a good employee, learn to take baggage of your senior. Most of the time project managers या आपके seniors, they won't be able to come to you, यार मैं परेशान हूँ. They are already busy. Sometimes people at lower positions have the leverage to stay free. So आप कभी भी अपने जाके अपने बॉस को बोलोगे ना, यार मेरे पास थोड़ा टाइम है, आप मुझे बिजी लग रहे हो, क्या मैं आपका कुछ लोड ले सकता हूँ? He will be more than happy. वो आपको काम भी देगा. That would make you grow technically, also professionally, and you'll have a good relationship. And with that fostered relationship, you will grow in your career and you will have favors. So that's I think that's and everybody should do.
What is your way to, polish your skills?
So I loved LinkedIn Learning. So you must be aware there are multiple learning platforms like Udemy. There is something also called LinkedIn Learning. And I've seen a trend from past couple of years. Every corporate organization gives you a free license for that. So I don't have to pay for having new certifications. I do that for free. Yeah, you can do that in your work hours, but if it adds value, feel free to do it on the weekends also. So I do that. I have number of certifications in user experience design, project management, all thanks to LinkedIn Learning. But before that, we used to watch YouTube. It's a
Right.
great content material. I think, or you can talk to your peers. I think that's the simplest way. If any of your peers know something, go for it and ask for help. So I think those are the three things.
Right. Thank you so much. Let's ask our viewers if they do have some questions to ask. Yes, Jatin.
Yeah, Jatin, I use Articulate Storyline, Adobe Captivate, and for video development, we used to use Adobe Animate and Adobe After Effects, but I think they are obsolete now. We are using some online tools like Beyond, Powtoon, which helps us create video animations, just like a click. You drag a character, right click, make it sleep, make it walk, make it talk. So that's those are the software we use. But I think if you join a multimedia institute, those softwares are still not in their curriculum. This is something you learn on the job. But don't be disheartened. Once you have the basic technical, scalability, I think you can move forward.
Any other questions?
Guys, I may request, मैं तो आया हूँ बोल के चला जाऊंगा, but I think this is an opportunity. आप मुझसे कुछ भी पूछ सकते हो. Be frank. You might take up something. So कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछने में कभी मत शर्माना. कुछ नहीं भी है तो कुछ भी पूछ लो. Anything not related to career, technical, anything, I'm open to it.
Okay, Devansh, do have one question. Uh, Devansh, you can speak now.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what do you think? What impact will AI have on the jobs of learning design specialists? Like, is it something we should be concerned about?
I think we should be concerned, but I don't think it would take up all of the jobs because there is something called a human factor in this job. So I'll try to explain it with an example. May I ask what education do you have?
So currently, I'm pursuing my BTech
Okay.
in computer science.
Okay. So after BTech, if I ask you to Jatin again enroll with a similar course, you would say, यार ये तो मुझे पता है मैं पागल हूँ इसमें टाइम वेस्ट करूँगा. This is an one example. So हम जब भी learning design करते हैं तो we think about human factors, like who would be interested in this, क्या किसके लिए relevant है. दूसरा, type of learnings.
Right.
Everybody is not same. So you might be, very good to learn about something while reading a book. But for me personally, मैं एक पेज पढ़ता हूँ मुझे नींद आ जाती है. I need to see visuals. Or there might be some people जिन्हें काम करते करते on the job सीखना पसंद है. So we design that thing. So जब तक वो human factor रहेगा, AI is not a danger, but yes, it could be a help. मैं आपको कल की बात बताता हूँ. So I was creating an assessment. So उसमें जो questions थे, वो कनाडा के किसी मैनेजर ने मुझे क्वेश्चंस लिख के भेजे और इतनी गंदी ग्रामर थी ना, मैं आपको क्या बताऊं. सो अगर मैं वो खुद ठीक करने बैठता मुझे 4 घंटे लगते. तो मैंने वो सारे क्वेश्चंस एआई में डाल दिए और उसको बोला सिंप्लीफाई करके मुझे. सो आई यूज दैट सिंप्लीफाइड क्वेश्चंस और मैंने वो असेसमेंट बना दिया. यस, समटाइम्स इट हेल्प्स and sometimes it doesn't. I think as long as you are confident on yourself and you are decisive how to use that, the odds will be in your favor.
Right. Any other questions? I think that's it. We don't have any other questions. Thank you so much for joining us and share your insights with us. That might be helpful for the students who are watching our show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really grateful for that. And to all the students, all the best for your career and future endeavors. And if you need to talk to me anytime और आपके मन में अभी कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है या सेशन के बाद भी क्लिक हो जाता है, you can have my LinkedIn contact from Panisha and you can contact me anytime. I love to talk and I would always be available. So thank you and all the best.
Thank you so much.